All right, welcome to You Don't Know Ball. Today, we are going to be discussing the playoffs, the wild card round. First game, let's get into it. We have Cleveland at Houston. Who are you taking to win?
I'll tell you what. Thought about it a lot. Tough. But I'm going in this case that the Browns are going to come in there and per se, I don't think it would even be necessarily an upset because I know the way things stand right now, like the Texans are the home team. But we know it's a long shot because of how young they are. And I think for me, that's the only thing is really, it doesn't even come down to the youth, but it comes down to that youth versus the Browns defense. Like, I know the Browns defense is going to be ready to show up. I know the Browns defense is going to show up heavy. And I don't know. It's going to be one of those games for me where it is. I'm not counting Texas out. Let me be clear. If CJ can have a 300-yard day and Nico can have a 100-yard day, anything's possible. But I think those two things at the least have got to line up where it's just got to be an explosion from the Texans. Because I think also on top of what I'm saying, no matter what, I think the Browns are going to put up a pretty solid number on that defense. The Texans have a good defense, but Joe Flacco is going to come in there and I think he's going to keep it going in that warm weather. And it's like,
yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be a good game. But in my opinion, I think Cleveland takes it pretty easily, honestly. Like, to me, Houston is a good team, but I just think the Browns are a different caliber of team. Like, what they've been able to do with all their injuries, with their fourth quarterback. I understand it's Joe Flacco. It's not like Josh Dobbs and all, these guys that, get a couple starts out of him. Like, Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl. He's experienced. He's a vet. I honestly feel like the Browns are possibly making the AFC Championship this year. Like, the only team I could see beating them is the Ravens. Because it's like, bro, what Joe Flacco does with that offense, I mean, that defense is still insane. So it's like, I don't know if I buy any of the other AFC teams outside of the Ravens. Now, obviously the Bills, when they're hot, yes. But we don't know if they're going to come out hot in the playoffs.
Back to my 4 in a row with the Bills. It's been the thing all year.
Like, I don't know if they can do that. The Browns, they've done it all year. Like, I think the Browns can be that team this year.
No, absolutely.
Imagine if Joe Flacco run a Super Bowl with the Browns.
That's the thing is I can completely see it. Like, it's not even, they're not even like in some dark horse territory anymore. They're kind of just like, they're one of the favorites. No matter how you slice it, they're just one of the favorites. And like I told my boy who's a Browns fan, shouts to Bucks. I feel like, honestly, this year, the Browns kind of feel like one of those teams of destiny.
It feels like that Cinderella story, right?
They have a cosmic energy around them this year. They really do.
Okay, let me ask you this. I mean, because the Browns are not healthy. Like, the Browns are on their, third string.
That's what makes it even more cosmic.
Yeah, so let me ask you this. Okay, this is a crazy hypothetical. If Joe Flacco wins the Super Bowl with the Browns,
he's Insta Hall of Fame, Insta Ring of Honor.
Is he your starter next year?
See, and I've thought about this before too. I think the way that you like if you were the Browns, you'd have to slice it the same way you sliced it as last year, though. Like, and this is my opinion. Obviously, if it happened, I might have a different opinion. But as of right now, even just viewing it hypothetically, I think from the optics of how just everything around the team and how the media would treat it, I do think you'd have to give the reins back to Deshaun until, but again, we know how Deshaun is. Something goes wrong and he plays bad for a little bit, or he gets injured. Then it's like, then you stick Joe back in regardless. But then you have to ask yourself how Joe would feel about that. I think there's a lot of things that go into it. But as of right now, just from a pure optic standpoint, especially if you already had the Lombardi, I do think it would be a little egregious not to start the guy you were paying like $55 million to.
Yeah. But
because he's taking up such a big cap number and you can't cut him. You literally can't. It makes no sense. You've got to hold on to him no matter what. There's no point ever cutting him. So it's like, it would be the weirdest. It would be the best or worst situation you could ever have. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, I feel you. I know it's not a bad one to have, except for the fact that you're paying him a ridiculous amount of money. I think the thing, too, with the Texans is, like, they're a very young team. First-time head coach. Like, I don't think that them winning is out of the question. I just trust Cleveland more to get it done because I feel like that team and culture has been building for so long, and I feel like they're ready to do it. I feel like they're really ready to do it, and I don't know, and, like, I could be very, very wrong, but I just have kind of a feeling about the Browns this year that they're going to make a deep run.
No, absolutely. And again, on top of things, like there's been games recently where they don't even get their run game going. They're still putting up big numbers. Like this game against the Texans right here. I'm not even going to do the quick math. It's like 58 or 57, something like that, just by looking at it. But they had, I'll say this, sub 60 rushing yards against the Texans last time they played them. beat them by 14, still put up 36. Like the Browns are in a weird range right now where they don't have to be playing great on both sides of the ball. Like one of the sides of the ball just gets going and it just gets going, which is the best. I mean, those are the best type of offenses to have.
Going to be a very interesting playoff game. All right, let's go into our next one. We have Miami at KC. Who are you taking?
See, and this one for me, I'm going to be honest with you. For multiple reasons, to me, this one is a no-brainer. And I'm going Chiefs because, and it's really just two reasons. It's very simple to me, actually. The freezing cold weather, on top of the fact that Miami has no pass rushers anymore. And if you don't have pass rushers against Mahomes, it's just, it's a losing game. And at that, I'm not trying to count the Dolphins out. Every team, I'm not ever going to say the team that has no chance. I just think the Dolphins have a chance. But if I had to put it in a numerical number, I'd give them a 1 out of 10 chance. And it's like, they're still a young team with a young coach. I think, in my opinion, there's a pretty good chance they could show up as pretty flat, especially how they ended their season. Very disappointing end of the season. Usually translates with young teams to very disappointing playoff appearances. And I could see this just being another one of those, unfortunately. But I'll talk about the positives in a sec, but on the Dolphins. But I'll let you give your spin here first.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm going to go with Kansas City as well. I think they're much more proven, obviously, as a, contender. They've won 2 Super Bowls. Obviously, it's not the same roster, but I really haven't been super convinced with how Tua has been playing. And like you said, no pass rushers. Like, I don't know. Like, don't the Dolphins kind of feel like how they felt last year? It's like, they could be like a really good team, but it just feels like they can't put it together.
There's just too many things missing. And you know me, I always go my rants about trenches. But if you don't have trenches, you have nothing. That's always what I say. You don't have trenches, you got nothing. And as of right now, Dolphins O-line obviously is much improved this year. But that D-line, as of right now, minus the interior, it's like, man, this is really going to be really rough. And it's like when you're playing a team like the Chiefs that always comes prepared on the trenches, it's going to be rough. I'm going to give you my silver lining, though. I'll say, if the Dolphins can find a way to win this game, and it's going to be the way they have to do it, is that they have the ability to get behind those safeties pretty consistently. Safeties and corners. Like, they got the speed about that. For that, and there's no doubt. But you would have to very consistently and on top of that, you're going to have to run the ball very well in the freezing cold. Because the only way you're going to be able to get that to happen is by getting those safeties and linebackers to come down and play you in the box. So the only way that Dolphins can win this game is by running the ball very effectively and then just torching them.
Yeah.
But it's like, how likely is that in the negative 10 degrees? That's where it comes down to.
Probably not likely. And that's a thing, too, is like, coming from Florida to Kansas City, like, they probably, like, I'm trying to think of, like, maybe if they had to go to, like, Cleveland. Honestly, all these matchups in the AFC are probably not good for them. At Buffalo, at KC. The best opportunity would have been at Houston, in my opinion. I would have taken them if they were playing Houston. But playing KC, a proven team in the playoffs and a perennial contender because of their quarterback. I mean, Tua kind of looked lost last week.
And I just want to throw us out there, but like, if you're a Dolphins fan, last week got to leave a really sour taste in your mouth, but not just because of the Tua thing, but like to the whole point we're making now. You had the home playoff game in the bag like lunch in middle school, and you just fucking threw it out the window. Like, it's the worst way you could have blown it.
Also, I think there's a lot of shit going on with Tyreek Hill, where it's kind of like, I feel like he's just got life shit going on right now. His house burned down. Like, I'm not 100% convinced that, like, everything going on with the Dolphins is, like, good for them right now.
No,
and
they just got
they seem out of focus.
Side note, and I want to bring this up, bro. You just reminded me when you said that. I didn't even think about it till you just said it. If I was a coach, I would never do fucking Hard Knocks ever. Hard Knocks is a recipe to not have a good season. I'm gonna leave it at that. No cap. Like that. Call me crazy, but having a film crew follow you around all the time when you're trying to be private and get shit done is just with your team. Maybe not the best. Maybe not the best idea.
I guess my thing too is I feel like where the Chiefs can very easily win this game is if they can get Travis Kelce going, because then they can rely on Pacheco, rely on Rashee Rice, and they don't have to really make it their number one guys. Like, bro, relying on MVS is not going to do you anything. Like, that receiving core is bad outside of Rashee Rice. So my thing is, like,
critical.
It is almost like key to the game, like number one key to the game, get Travis Kelce going. Because if you cannot get Travis Kelce going, I feel like it might be kind of a long day for the Chiefs. I still think they'll win, but I feel like if they can get Kelce going, I feel like they can control the game, control the pace. They can get their defense just playing all right. Like, truly, if they can get Tua to turn over the ball once or twice and just get Kelsey going, I feel like that's all you need to do to beat the Dolphins.
It's going to be, that's why I said, I honestly see a 1 out of 10. He plays game 10 times, the Dolphins find a way to squeak it out once. Other 9 times, the Chiefs are going to dominate him in the trenches, and it's going to be grabs.
All right, let's move to Pittsburgh at Buffalo. This is going to be an interesting game. I really don't know. I mean, like, obviously, we should be, no doubt, picking the Bills to win. But, like, I have a little doubt.
Dude, I have major doubt. Like, I not even say that I would pick against them. Like, bro.
Why,
like,
bro?
Because,
Why?
bro, they are the prime candidates of being unserious.
I think
But
they
that's
were,
the thing is they're a very talented team. They're a very talented, weekly unserious, like, but that's the thing. That's how I'm trying to think of the right terminology here, right way to say this in English. Like, they're inconsistently, they're consistently inconsistent, but it's like it's both ways. Like they'll consistently be good for a while, and then they'll consistently be inconsistent for a while, but then they'll go back to being like, if it's all it is. The reality situation is the Bills, all it's been since it started is if they can put 4 together in a row, they can win the Super Bowl. They have the team. They've had the team for the last 3 or 4 years, but it's like, with what we've seen this year, are they going to? Like, that's all it comes down to. Like, I am a man of what I've seen. What you show me is what I believe. Like, what the Bills have shown me this year is that they're inconsistent and relatively unserious. And can that change for these next 4 games? Can they pull in New York Giants? Like, circa, what they did with Eli twice? Hey, I am not saying it's not. It's definitely possible.
They were saying ever since Sean McDermott started using the Al Qaeda tactics, they're 5-1.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy, but it's also, timeout. Wasn't it like the whole thing where he said that? Wasn't it actually from a couple years ago and it just got leaked recently or something?
Yeah, 2019, I believe. But yeah, no, I mean, like, here's my thing with the Bills. It's just like, I know they can win any game they go into, but I also know they can lose any game they go into. And it's like with the Steelers, they know they're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. They know that. So it's almost like, fuck it. We're playing with house money. Like, think about it.
Even without TJ Watt. Like,
bro, even without TJ Watt.
Like, let's be clear. We are aware. TJ will not be there.
We are aware that Buffalo is minus 500 on the ESPN money line because now you can bet on ESPN.com.
That is crazy.
No promotion. I think it's really bad. I think that's bad. But
that is crazy.
Anyway, basically what I'm saying with that is the Bills are heavily favored. But
I can't see why.
I don't think it should be that big. I don't think it should be that big, bro.
No, I'm sorry, bro, for multiple reasons. Like, if Stephon Diggs decides to have a temper tantrum mid-second, like, this game's over. Like, there are so many reasons this game could be over early. Like, Josh decides to get too cute, runs right into fucking one of the
also
Steelers. Like, there's a lot of things I could see going wrong in this game, like, as has been all year. Not that any of that's likely, but if all the teams in the AFC this year that I feel like they literally squeaked in.
I just trust Tomlin to get the job done way more than Sean McDermott, and 17 straight seasons at 500 or above, and he hasn't won a playoff game in 7 years.
And it's like, I gotta do my research here because I've been hearing like multiple things. They have to be sticking with Mason Rudolph for this game, right?
Yes, I believe so.
If they stick with Mason,
there'd be no reason. Mason got you here. Yeah, there's no reason to play Pickett.
I'm saying, like, with Mason in there, there's like a underdog element that they got going where it's like, look, man, Mason's hot right now. I don't think he's gonna stay hot, but this I think could be the last game on the hot streak. And if it is, like your point, playing with house money, I'm sorry. As of right now, in a weird way, I have been all week. I've been leaning Steelers.
The over under for this game is 36.5.
But that's the thing is like
that's like 18 points.
The Steelers are hot right now. Like everyone seems to be interested in Steelers. Najee back to back 100-yard weeks. The Bills trenches are inconsistent as fuck too. Like the Bills trenches one week will be looking amazing, and then the next week it's like, oh lordy. Like if this is one of those oh lordies.
The Steelers have a lot more momentum, in my opinion, than the Bills. I know the Bills are on a hot streak, but it's like, bro, there is so much turmoil if they lose this game where it's like, I feel like tension and anxiety will be so high for the Bills that they could possibly fumble it.
They've shown that they get in their own head. This has already been a thing with them. They've choked. I'm going to get to the past. I'm sorry, Bills fans. I'm sorry. But like they've shown us that they have those tendencies. And it's like, you just don't tend to lose those type of tendencies very often. Those tend to be type of things that define you.
And remember at the beginning of the year when Stephon Diggs showed up and then left, and it was a big story.
That lame shit.
McDermott was like, "Oh no!" And then they tried to downplay it, but everyone was kind of like, maybe that. I mean, after last year, maybe this is starting to become a problem." And there has been issues with the Bills all year. So I know we're talking more about like chemistry and shit, and less about like actual like on the field football. But we kind of are. Like it has affected on the field.
It completely. And again, I just want to be clear. Bills Mafia, we're not against you. If the Bills could go win the Super Bowl, I would love to see that. Like that'd be fucking awesome. But I'm just speaking from objectively what I view. And at the moment, I don't see it right now.
All right, let me ask you this. Who's winning?
I'm sticking as of right now, I officially am leaning Steelers. I already was. I just didn't say it officially. I am leaning the Steelers because of all the things we said. It's not that they should win it. It's just that there are plenty of reasons the Bills could lose it. And for that, I'm going to go Steelers.
I'm going to be a pussy. I'm just going to take the Bills.
But you're playing it safe.
I'm playing it safe, but I want to make it very clear that like I think it's a very real possibility that the Steelers win this game. All right, let's move into the NFC. Green Bay at Dallas. Who you taking?
I think this is one of the ones where, much like the Dolphins Chiefs, it's more of a no-brainer. But again, not to discredit the Packers, I think that this could be a very close game. Like I do think it could be. But the Cowboys have this is what I'm going to say. The Cowboys have no reason not to win this game. Like the Packers don't overshadow them in any area. They're much younger. And that's the main thing that it comes down to is like to beat a team in the playoffs, you kind of have to have one area that you shine in that they're a little weak in. And the Packers just don't have that. The fact that the Packers are even in this position is miraculous for them, which is awesome if you're a Packers fan. Also, side note, shout out to Jair Alexander. Man said like 6 weeks ago they were going to win out and go to the playoffs, and everyone was like, including me and everyone, I'm sure was like, what the fuck? Dude's insane. No, sure enough, Jair Alexander, I don't know what he was on.
Right.
He was he knew exactly what he was talking about. So shout out to you, Jair. And I think too, side note, shout out to the Packers to be able to win the most important game of the year without Jair, and now you get him back. But I think the Packers are what they are. A team that definitely overwhelmed very heavy, but now is perhaps the reckoning of that. Where you might have
overperformed.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they overperformed, and which is awesome. Like that, if you're a Packers fan, there's nothing to be, even if the Packers lose this game 49-0, you should have nothing to be upset about. But obviously the Packers want their team to win. But the reality is that I'm just gonna leave it at this, and I'll have more to say in a sec after you talk to. But the Cowboys have no reason not to lose, and that's just what I'm gonna lock it in at right now.
I feel like this is gonna be a pretty close game, honestly. Just because like my issue with the Cowboys is like I know they should really win this game, but every year in the playoffs they just kind of like fold. So my thing is like I could very easily see this game folding, like the Cowboys folding and the Packers taking it. Now, do I think the Packers get past the second round? No. But I will say this. The Cowboys have a history of folding, and I think there's very, very heavy expectations on them to go to the NFC Championship. And I think if they do not go to the NFC Championship, Mike McCarthy is fired. So it's really going to be like, how much do these players want to fight for McCarthy? And also, I mean, I feel like this is a storyline that's not being talked about. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl with the Packers. Like, he is playing his team that he won a Super Bowl with. So not only would it be symbolic for him to win, but if he were to lose, it would just look very, very bad on him. Like, this is probably the worst matchup that he could have got week one outside of the 49ers.
Well, best for him, you mean?
No, worst. Think about if you lose. Well, you lose to a 7 seed.
I misunderstood what you're saying, but like in terms of how he should win it.
Yeah, he should win it. It would be very symbolic if you won it, but if he loses to a team that he left that snuck in as the 7 seed,
he's gone.
He's gone.
There's not a doubt about it.
Mike McCarthy is coaching for his career right now, and his team is, oh my God, all the signs are pointing to the Packers are going to win this. Think about it. He needs to win. They're the favorite. They have the more talented team. The Packers are the youngest team in the NFL.
And the Cowboys are the choke kings.
Oh, it's over. It's over, bro. It's over.
Swear you're locking it in.
The Packers are going to win this game.
Oh, no.
I think I'm going to take the Packers.
So here's my thing. So
Even though I know the Cowboys should win.
I think I'll say this, but this is my final conclusion on the Packers, though. If the Pack can win this game, it's going to come down to two things. Jordan Love having no turnovers. And I'll say this, to put it into a numbers thing. Aaron Jones, at least 50 yards receiving. He's going to have to torch some of those linebackers in space. Definitely going to be a big thing. And it's going to have to be his biggest game of the season. He's going to have to go over 100 yards on the ground again. Because he's done it last 2 weeks. If he can have an Alvin Kamara-esque Aaron Jones week, which we know he can. Aaron Jones has the potential to turn to one of the best backs in the league at the snap of a finger. If that can happen this week, torch those linebackers in space, cook them on the ground, there's no doubt the Packers could definitely walk away with this one. I just don't think it's likely. But
I don't
now
think it's
after hearing
likely
everything
either,
you just said and the
doesn't
Cowboys
it make sense?
pedigree over the last 20 years, it's scary if you're out there in Dallas.
Scary hours in Dallas. I mean, Cowboys have a better offense, better defense.
No, that's the thing is the Packers have not one area that they shadow.
That's why they're going to win though.
That's why.
That's how it works.
Mike McCarthy there would literally be not a doubt about it.
It's just it would
and
be
if you're
such
a Cowboys fan, then you'd have to be man,
Cowboys fumble.
That would be the worst position to be in too, where you get rid of him at the point where like everyone already kind of knows what they're going to do with their coach, and now you're way behind the 8 ball because you started way later than everyone else.
Well, I didn't say this before, but I also think that if the Steelers lose, I'm not totally convinced that Mike Tomlin doesn't walk away for a year.
I've heard a few people. I've heard rumblings about that too. It's with a guy like Tomlin though. I never have a prediction on what he's going to do. I feel like a guy like Tomlin could like change how he thinks like any second. Like he's just like he could be like, fuck it, I'm back. Like so, it's like I'm gonna have to wait and see with that. But it's definitely a storyline to follow.
All right, so you're locking it in with Dallas.
I'm locking into with Dallas, even though I agree it's gonna be a close game.
Who has a better day in the air, Dak Prescott or Jordan Love?
Tough. Because with that Packett and Jair back, it's gonna be interesting. And we know this thing is Dak. Dak scares me. Like Dak, I need to see him have the big game in the big moment. Oh man, call me crazy. I could see Jordan Love having more passing yards than him though. Even with the Cowboys win, I could see it. I'm going to go J Love. I think J Love has to, no matter what. Like J Love has to have a great game. He knows it no matter what. Like even if they have a chance.
I feel like Dak is either going to light it up or it's just going to be the Jordan Love show.
If it's the Jordan Love show, the social media landscape is going to go
explode
ballistic, and I will be going ballistic because I've been a truther for the fucking.
Listen. I'm a Bears fan, but I've been pretty honest about Jordan Love since the beginning of the year. I think he's going to be a good quarterback, and he's shown it. So, all right, let's move on to the Sunday night game. We have the Los Angeles Rams at the Detroit Lions.
Oh, no.
The Detroit Lions have a chance to do something that they haven't done in a very, very long time, and that is win a playoff game.
This game's stressing me out.
They won the NFC North this year. Who are you taking?
You know what? I'm going to speak it into existence, guy. Even though you heard my comments before we just started recording the segment, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going with what I did last week, except this time it's going to work. I'm going with my heart over my head. With that said, give me the Lions. Even though because I believe, unfortunately, as of right now, that the Rams could sneak in there and it'd give them that work. But I'm going heart over head. The Lions are going to find a way to show up and be those hot Lions that we know that they can be. And if they don't, it will be incredibly depressing to watch.
I'm going to go Rams, man. I honestly think Matt Stafford has a ridiculous day on this Lions defense. I just think the Lions defense is going to fold. I think that the Lions will be okay. I think it'll be a competitive game, but Matt Stafford going home. He's already got a ring.
Exactly. It takes so much pressure off of him.
It does.
Like
it really does. Like this is everything for the Lions.
And they're in house money territory. Like they're in that same territory where it's like, we didn't think they were going to be here. Like they're going to play with house money. Will
the lights be too bright for Jared Goff? Because sometimes they're too bright for him.
Side note, to him, that's why being on the Lions, no matter who you are, is going to be so hard.
This is Jared Goff's this is both their former teams.
This every playoff game for the Lions, until that they win a Super Bowl, is going to feel like the Super Bowl. Like, it's always how it's going to be for the Lions.
Do you think Detroit survives if they win? Like, do you think the city of Detroit is standing if they win a playoff game?
I feel
like they're going to burn everything down.
No, I think Lions fans are going to agree with this. I think, yes, they'd be happy, but I think Lions fans are in a territory where it's like, if we don't go the whole way, it doesn't even matter at this point. Like, we've been around so damn long.
I feel like as long as they make the chip, they'll be okay.
I think it would hurt even more then. Like it's like I think Lions fans would agree. They're literally in a position like the Cubs now, where it's like get there as much as you want. It doesn't even mean that much anymore. It's like you're just gonna keep breaking our heart if you don't finish it. You know what I mean? Which is what adds even more pressure to the table. Like you're in a position now where it's like these people are starving. Like they're starving. Like Jared Goff, they're starving, and you need to fucking bring.
They're like the Lion King when like everyone's going through the famine and they're all thin and shit. Yeah, that's them right now.
And he needs to deliver a fat W on that platter. That's the thing. If you just show up and they sneak out a game-winning field goal with time expiring or something, if you're a Lions fan, that's not going to give you a lot of confidence going in next week. You're going to say, God damn, we scraped by, and that is not really going to mean that much. Like, they got to go in there and give them a can of kick ass. And to the point of, do I think that's going to happen, even if they win? No.
Who's got a better day in the air, Stafford or Goff?
I'm going Staff no matter what. I think if the Lions are going to win, it's going to be a type of day where Jared Goff's going to go like 180, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and then like 100 yards from Gibbs or 100 from Montgomery. Pick your favorite. 50 from the other back.
Bro,
like one of those days.
I just don't see Detroit winning this game.
The way the Rams D-line's playing too, I just want to point out, like we know how Jared Goff is, worst QB in the league under pressure. I'm sorry. The Rams D-line is not what it was at the beginning of the year. They are officially a top 15 unit. So it's like, take that as you will. They're top 50. And if they show up having a better day as a top 50% unit, it's going to be a very bad day for Jared Goff.
Yeah, man. I feel real bad for the city of Detroit.
If they lose this, I will show up in tears for them.
Well, it's like, I guess my thing is like, do you trust Dan Campbell or do you trust Sean McVay more?
See, that's the next thing.
I just feel like you're getting out coached.
I love Dan so much, but I'm sorry. Like Sean is shown like Sean really's the guy. And when it's the thing of the Goff with him in this case, it's like, I think that this could be a lights is too bright scenario. Again, just like with the Bills, I fucking really hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. I would be ecstatic if I'm wrong. Lions fans, it's not some victory lap talk. I hope I am wrong. Show up, show out, beat those Rams. But we wouldn't be surprised at all if the
It
Rams
just feels like a thing where if like the Rams go up like 2 scores early, where it's just like it would be so deflating to the Lions, where it's just kind of like, it's over. We got here and it's over. It's Jover.
It's Jover might be the meme of the day for the Lions. It better not be though.
All right, so final answer, Lions.
I'm going with my heart.
All right,
heart over head.
I'm gonna go Detroit. All right, let's move into the Monday game. You have Philly at Tampa Bay. Who are you taking?
You know what?
I feel like I know. Like, I know who I'm taking. Like, I've known who as soon as I saw this matchup, I was like, oh God, Philly. Why? You could have gotten anybody else and I would have felt more confident. Anybody else and I would have felt more confident about you winning this game. This is probably the worst matchup for you as a team because not to do with anything on the field, not to do anything like that. If you lose to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers,
it's Sirianni, it's Jover.
Your head coach is fired. Your OC's fired because we saw that they're willing to move on from Super Bowl coaches. Doug Peterson, they fired after the year after, I believe.
Oh, Howie Roseman knows what he's doing up there. He's definitely a what have you done for me recently kind of guy. In the NFL, you have to be that kind of guy.
Okay, let's get back to it. Who are you taking? Because I'm taking Tampa Bay.
At home, I'm definitely taking Tampa Bay. But I do want to offer some silver lining for the Eagles fans. Because here's the way, because it's not even like it's a long shot. The Eagles, I want to be clear. Like, I don't want to downplay it. The Eagles still have got a very, very good shot. And if they're going to capitalize on that shot, it just comes down to 2 things. They got to come in there and get back to what they do. They got to run that ball down their throat. But again, to the point of, the Bucs D-line is nothing to play with either. So it's like, but that's the thing is they haven't been getting to what they were doing last year. They're not mirroring that run to that pass. If they just try to go out there and let Jalen just sling it, that's not the game plan. Like they were going to get slaughtered if that's the game plan. But if they can come out there, match that energy, run the ball, a lot of, just power football, I think that's going to be, I still would even to a sense lean the Eagles from an objective perspective. But when I apply emotion and everything that's going into the Eagles right now, and you see how disconnected the team is, it's for that reason alone. I do genuinely believe that the Bucs are playing a lot more tight right now. They are. Even though they're not playing great football, they're playing much more tight. So it's like, and the pressure on the Eagles Sirianni has so many thoughts going through his head right now. The whole staff has so many thoughts going through their head. How organized is this week about to be? How on point is this week about to be? Again, it could be the complete opposite. Maybe they're going to be the pressure under diamond. Whatever. I'm fumbling my words here, but you know what I'm saying. Pressure makes diamonds. Maybe that's how they're going to show up. But the way that it's been recently, that has not been what it is. And if it is another week of that, the Bucs are going to be an 8-win team. My apologies. A 9-win team in the second week of the playoffs.
Here's my thing. I think Baker Mayfield has a lot to prove. Like, I feel like Baker Mayfield's going in this game with a chip on his shoulder. The Eagles went to the Super Bowl last year. Like, okay, I'm going to say this because I want a victory lap a little bit. At the beginning of the year, we're all talking about, me and you talked about it a lot. The Eagles just don't feel right. They just don't feel right. Hella people in the comments. New coaches, blah, blah, blah. They're getting everything set up, blah, blah, blah.
I almost forgot about this phase.
It was valid. Our takes were valid. And they're still valid now. Like, you've seen what they fell apart. They fell apart.
They have been playing like a top 5 bottom unit in the league the last 6-7 weeks.
It's actually pretty bad. And my thing is this, like
2019 Steelers vibes.
Oh God!
They're carbon copies.
They were playing their starters against the Giants. Went down 24-0 and pulled their starters. Like, obviously, you don't want to get hurt. It was a smart move, but think about that. The Giants are picking at 5. The New York Giants, your division rival, is picking at, actually, let me correct myself, number 6 in the draft.
And side note, let's remember this. Wink Martindale was about to give a karate kick to Brian Dable's fucking face mid-game, and they still were putting up numbers like that on them.
Yeah, and Brian Dable's out right now. He stormed out. He has mutually parted ways with the Giants.
Oh, no, that was Wink. You mixed up Wink and Brian.
I did, my bad. Wink Martindale.
Yes, but Wink is out, yes. And that's the point, is even with all of that, these two dudes hated each other and kept it relatively unpublic, except for the one time it got leaked. But whenever they asked about it themselves, they made it seem like they still had a good relationship. Obviously, they didn't. Nobody got along in the building with each other, and still, under that Giants culture, they came in there and kicked their ass. I mean, you have to ask yourself, if you're an Eagles fan, how bad the culture is right now.
All right, I'm gonna blindly read you stats.
And are we gonna get to Nick Sirianni's tirade here in a second too? Okay. We have to go back to Nick Sirianni's foolery.
3,800 yards, 3,858 yards, 23 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. 4,444 yards, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Wait, you're telling me that
if I were to tell you before the season that Baker Mayfield had a better quarterback, let's forget the rushing, because we know what those touchdowns are. They're 1 yard push plays, and I'm not trying to take that away, but we know what that is. Like, that's
it's Jason Kelsey's what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the Eagles as a team. It is not Jalen Hurts. If I were to tell you before the year that Baker Mayfield was going to have a better year than Jalen Hurts, you'd tell me I'm smoking fucking crack.
No, what? So I might have, but then I'm going to take another victory lap on something that I had earlier in the year, and this year has been far more another year that has just further exemplified it 100%. But you know what that was? The QB market doesn't work, and it's not going to work. One of these coaches is going to have to put their fucking foot down and say, dude, fuck off. And Jalen Hurts was the guy that the Eagles had to tell that to. They had to say, dude, fuck off. You want that money for what the O-line did for you.
Everyone was very pressed to call Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback. And like, even though I would put him up there, I was always very hesitant to, because it just never felt like it was actually like him doing most of the work. I understand you want to surround your guys with good players, but I mean, like, if you look at like receiving yards, Mike Evans had 6 more touchdowns than AJ Brown and only had about 200 less receiving yards. Like, my thing is, Mike Evans, maybe the better receiver this year? I don't know.
Like, but the second half of the year wasn't even close. That's the thing, is if you take away AJ Brown's first half was insane.
Only about 60 less rushing yards than just DeAndre Swift and 1 more touchdown. Like, oh, maybe the Bucs are a better team. Like, bro, like,
it's literally
to be very real with you, the way the Eagles have performed has been laughable. And to see what the Bucs have done with Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles, like, bro, you can't tell me the Eagles are winning on Monday.
Yes, side note, but off topic, but on topic, and we'll get back on it. Todd Bowles, talking about saving your job masterclass. this year was definitely that.
Yeah, he snapped.
He snapped to getting himself out of the hot seat right at the perfect time.
All right, let's go on the Sirianni tirade because I don't really have much else to say.
I know. Let's get into it because I would say if you could pinpoint, you literally could pinpoint one moment that this downfall happened was, hey, call me crazy. Hey, maybe, just maybe, the primus leader of your team shouldn't be going on moral victory laps in the other team stadium. Like, just maybe you would never see Belichick talking shit to another fan base. Just maybe there's this thing in the universe where you can't start gloating when you haven't done shit. Just maybe. This is the final proof that everyone needed that cosmic energy really does exist. And when you piss off whatever's going on deep down in the universe or however you want to look at it, we're not going to get into worldviews. However you look at it, you piss off the wrong spirits or the universe. I say it doesn't go well. And all I'm saying is, in this case, I do genuinely believe that you can pinpoint the exact moment the Eagles' downfall started to Nick Sirianni. It was like, the football spirits reviews looking down. They're like, bruh, this motherfucker thinks he's on one. Bet that. Like, you see soon, clown. I didn't mean to make it like this because I was so much convinced that Nick Sirianni truthfully wasn't. I hate to say this because I don't like to get on guys' cases personally, but not per se the clown-ish personality that I thought he was. But now this year, it's like it's completely done a 360. I'm like, no, wait a minute. That always was him, and he just got bailed out by the fact that he had the perfect roster last year. Literally. Howie Roseman was doing all the work behind the scenes. And maybe that's how Howie Roseman felt about Doug Peterson, too. If anything, Howie Roseman doesn't get enough love. And you Philly fans that were chanting to get Howie Roseman out the door a few years ago, you better be at his fucking doorstep with flowers and chocolates. Like, because Howie Roseman is definitely the identity of that team.
All right, so you're taking Philly or Tampa Bay? I'm taking Tampa.
I can still definitely see Philly doing it, but I'm taking Tampa. Lock it in.
Alrighty, well, those have been our wild card playoff predictions. This has been You Don't Know Ball. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Let us know in the comment section what you think will be the biggest upset this week.